is Secretary of State. And Secretary of State, we received no responses back from the candidates that were initially contacted. There were 3 candidates, and which makes a situation that they are not here, but I do want to recognize that we have a representative of the Libertarian candidate, Mark Rutherford, with us this evening, and let me see if I can find that gentleman. And your name again? Jacob Canlin is here. He's right up here on the front row. If you want to talk to him about why his candidate's running and all that, just get with him back in the back or outside, and they'll be glad to talk to you. The reason we do this is a Meet the Candidates forum, not a Meet the Candidates representatives forum. So we hold it to the candidates alone. The next office that's on that list is Auditor of the State, and there are 3 candidates on my list. I believe the bigger list that came, that has been provided by the clerk's office may have some additionals, but a Republican, a Democrat, and a Libertarian, again, no response on those. Treasurer of the State, we did get a response from both candidates. Kelly Mitchell was not able to be here, and John Aguilera, the Democrat candidate, said he would be here. Is Mr. Aguilera here? Mr. Aguilera. We'll move on then. The U.S. Senate seat, the original ballot was showing 3 candidates. Now there is considerably more, but none of them have responded. Nathan Altman, an independent, Mike Braun, a Republican, Lucy Brenton, a Libertarian, Joe Donnelly, Democrat, Christopher Fisher, an independent, and James Johnson Jr., an other party. Again, none of those responded. So that brings us to U.S. House of Representatives. We have 2 candidates that were in there in that August time frame, and still, according to the list that the clerk's office ran today, still 2 candidates. They are Trey Hollingsworth, the Republican, the Democrat, Liz Watson. Now I know Ms. Watson's here. Mr. Hollingsworth was originally scheduled to be in Washington, D.C. this evening for a vote in the House. That vote was canceled. However, he had made a commitment to Orange County some months ago that if that vote got canceled, he'd go there for their Lincoln Day program. So that's why he is not here. So, Ms. Watson, if you'll come up, we'll turn the floor over to you. We'll give you 6 minutes to tell about yourself, why you're running. And then we'll take questions from the floor.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to the Farm Bureau for putting on this important program. I think it's so important that you have an opportunity to hear from the people who want to represent you, and I was hoping tonight to share a stage with Congressman Hollingsworth. I will say I'm disappointed that he didn't show up. We have asked him to debate, and I know so has the Chamber of Commerce, and so has the College Democrats and the College Republicans, and a number of other bipartisan and nonpartisan groups, and I think it's really important that people know that they have a clear choice in November on their ballot. So I'm here, I am showing up, and I'm really excited to hear from you and hear your questions. I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm running. So my name, as you know, is Liz Watson. I'm a workers' rights attorney. I'm a working mom. I have 2 kids, Zach and Lila. They're 8 and 12. They go to the elementary school I went to growing up in Monroe County. And one husband, Craig, of 15 years. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary. And I'll tell you, my family in southern Indiana worked very hard. We worked hard, and because of that hard work, they were able to get ahead. My family includes my great-uncle Hod, who was the feed and grain store owner in Shoals, Indiana. My family includes a postal inspector, a carpenter, a appliance repairman, and my dad, who was the first in his family to go to college at IU, Indiana University, on the GI Bill. My family benefited from some of the best things our Congress has done, and they were why, together with our hard work, they helped us climb the ladder to the middle class. So after my dad was able to go to college at the GI Bill, I was able to, on the GI Bill, I was able to grow up and have a good middle class life. But that middle class life is falling farther and farther out of reach today for far too many Hoosiers, and that's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about Hoosiers who can't afford to put food on the table for their families. I'm concerned about Hoosiers who are working just as hard as they can, but living paycheck to paycheck. I'm concerned about Hoosiers who can't afford to fill their prescriptions. I'm concerned that we have an economy that's working for the 1% and leaving the rest of us falling behind. And I don't think that's okay. See, I want to go to Congress to fight for every single one of us, for every single Hoosier, so that we leave no one behind. And I can tell you, I can make a promise to you right here and right now that I will never stop listening to you. I will never stop fighting for you. I will fight to protect federal crop insurance, especially in a time of fluctuating commodities prices and unpredictable weather. I'll fight to improve the federal safety net for our dairy farmers. I'll fight to raise the acreage cap on the Conservation Reserve Program and to streamline the registration process so farmers don't have to choose between protecting our environment and getting the most from their land. I'll fight for fair trade deals that protect the right of Hoosier farmers to sell their crops anywhere on earth without facing crippling tariffs. But just as important, I want to tell you what I won't be doing. I won't be voting for a $4.5 million tax cut to enrich myself, as our congressman did. I would never vote, as our congressman did, for a tax law that gave 83% of the benefit to the top 1%. And then what did he do next? He supported the legislation to take away health care from hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers and gut Medicare and Social Security. I think that's wrong. See, I'm not interested in playing politics with your lives. I'm interested in fighting for an economy that works for every single one of us. I'm interested in fighting for the things that every Hoosier needs, in fighting for great public schools, in fighting for living wage jobs, in fighting for affordable health care, and in fighting for Medicare and Social Security, the backbone of the middle class. I can promise you this: if you send me to Congress, I will show up for you every single day. I will not take a dime of corporate PAC money. I can promise you this: I will vote every single time for what is best for the people right here in Southern Indiana. You know, I've been confused for a while about why our congressman has taken 80% of his money from special interests, about why it is that he seems to be voting to help Wall Street instead of Main Street. Because I've looked around in Corydon and Marengo, and I've looked around in English and in Nashville and in Martinsville, and I've been looking for the skyscrapers. I thought, is Wall Street in our district? Is that why our congressman seems to be voting every single time to help out Wall Street instead of Main Street? And guess what, folks? There are no skyscrapers to be found in our district. Our district is full of hardworking Hoosiers who deserve to get ahead, and I think it's time to put you first. And that's what I want to do in Congress. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you have questions, please remember that you have to ask a question that could be asked of both candidates, even though the other is not here, but they have to be of that type. That way we don't set up one over the other with these questions. I do have a question, and if you don't want to ask your question, there's cards here. All you have to do is fill it out and give it to Mrs. Trotter, and she'll get it to me. I do have a question that's come from the audience. What is your plan for health care?
This is a great question. Healthcare is the #1 issue that I hear about in the district when I'm out talking to voters. I hear about people who are very concerned about going back to the bad old days when a pre-existing condition could be a death sentence, when you couldn't get healthcare because you had cancer or diabetes or any number of other conditions. I hear about people who have healthcare, but because of the costs above and beyond health insurance, the out-of-pocket costs, they're rationing their pills, they can't afford to fill their prescriptions. I hear about from moms and dads whose sons and daughters are in the grips of the opioid crisis, who've had to yank them out of treatment facilities because they couldn't afford to keep them in there. I hear about people who are dying because they don't have the health care they need. The decision that we make in November is a life and death decision that we're going to be making at the ballot box. See, my opponent has already voted to take us back to the days when a pre-existing condition was a death sentence, has already voted to take health care away from hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers and millions of Americans. I think we can walk and chew gum on this, folks. I think we can protect the health care that we have, and we can fight to make it better, and we can fight to cover every single one of us. So make no mistake, we need to bring down health care costs. We can do that by negotiating prescription drug prices. My opponent has taken a tremendous amount of money from the pharmaceutical industry. I have not taken a dime of that money. And that's because I want to be able to negotiate prescription drug prices. I will not be in anybody's pocket. I want to be able to fight for all of you. So I want to bring down those prescription drug costs. We know that the VA has successfully negotiated prescription drug prices, and we need to make sure that happens for Medicare. And I want to see coverage for every single one of us. I do think that a Medicare for All type program is something that would cover every single one of us, and 70% of Americans agree with me. There was a Mercatus study that was funded by the Koch brothers that suggested that this will bring down overall health spending over the course of a decade, because we have so much waste right now in our healthcare system. We're wasting it on administrative costs, on people bickering over whether to provide coverage. Right? I talked to a gentleman at a town hall. I have held town halls all across this district, a town hall on healthcare, who told me, I bickered with the insurance company to try to get them to cover life-saving care that my wife needed. He was silent my entire town hall, and I wonder what his story is. He told me, my wife died before I could get them to provide the coverage, and she's no longer with us, and I'm here so that never happens to anyone else again. These are the stories across our district. We are the richest nation on earth. We can make sure that every single one of us has health care coverage. We can have a vision of an America that's just and compassionate, and in which we care about our friends and neighbors. My own father had Medicare when he was in a coma, and it was Medicare that made sure that everything my family had worked for after we were able to climb the ladder to the middle class didn't evaporate because of his illness. And I want to make sure that that same level of coverage is there for every single family in southern Indiana and across this country.
Other questions?
Okay, this was not exactly a question because I'm actually prepared to ask for, I'd like to spend a trade here, but maybe we can make this kind of fun. That. Okay. So I'm just going to, and there will be a point to this that I'll explain when we get down. So, first of all, I have 3 quick little questions. Part of our district, there is a town that is called the limestone capital of the world. Which one is that?
Well, a lot of the limestone actually comes out of Bloomington, where I'm from, such as the Washington National Cathedral is made of Bloomington limestone. I'm really proud of that. And we have a lot of folks who spent a lot of time when I was growing up swimming in the quarries. And, yeah. And,
really, like, right there. It's Bedford.
Oh, it's Bedford, yeah. And Bedford has had a lot of limestone too.
Yeah, and there's so much of that limestone that from Bloomington to Bedford that is built in Washington, D.C. So
yep, that's right. I'm very proud of the limestone that you can find in our nation's capital.
Yes,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. name a river and a cave in our district.
The Marengo Caves and a river in our district. Well, we border on the Ohio, and what river? Let's see. I'm trying to think of a river. It's not coming to me, I'm sorry.
Oh, it slaps on it. So, and the last one is, and then I'll tell my point about this. There's a singer from Indiana, from our district, and has sang very eloquently about our culture, our values, how we live as Hoosiers, and goes specifically to our district. So who is this singer? Where is he from?
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about a couple of singers who I love. I think you're thinking of John Mellencamp. John Mellencamp, actually, my sister went to high school with his daughter, and, you know, he sang wonderful songs. We've been trying to get him to come and sing for the campaign. I'm also going to talk about Hoagy Carmichael, who's one of my personal favorite singers and who I grew up listening to and sings a lot about. My favorite song by Hoagy, does anybody know it, is Rockin' Chair. It's about a grandma sitting out on her porch in her old rocking chair, which always makes me think about Southern Indiana. And yeah, Stardust, also another one. Yeah.
Well, the whole point of this, and I was hoping to prove this with Mr. Hollingsworth, was that you are a Hoosier.
Ma'am, no. It was questions only and
Oh,
not poking at
well, I just
a
kind of wanted to
candidate.
explain why I was asking questions.
I think everybody got your point.
Okay, all right.
So it's true, I am a Hoosier. I'm a fifth generation Hoosier, and I'm proud of it. Thank you.
Other questions?
I'm Jacob Cameron from the Mark Rutherford campaign.
I'm sorry, from the Mark
Mark
Rutherford.
Rutherford campaign. Some, I don't know if I speak for everybody, but some Hoosiers might be concerned about, of course I need to make a question to that, might be concerned about gerrymandering and some voting districts being drawn in a way that might give one party an advantage. So I wanted to know if you specifically, and I would ask the same question to Fred, I want to know if you had any sort of plans to fight that on the state level.
So I'm actually running for the United States Congress, but I'm going to repeat the question for you. So the question was about gerrymandering and what should happen at the state level on gerrymandering. So I'm running for actually the federal House of Representatives, which is the one in Washington. I do think that there are really important things that we need to do on this issue. I can tell you that I know there was a redistricting commission that went through at the state house level last year, and they had some really good ideas, and then it was all put on a shelf. And, you know, dusty white paper syndrome happened to that commission, and that's not okay. This is a question of our values. It's a question of making sure that every vote counts. What I also want to talk about is, let's talk about the reception that I'm getting in, say, Johnson County, which I think some people think was added to our district to make it more difficult. I'll tell you what, in Johnson County, I'm out knocking doors all the time, and I'm hearing from voters who are really ready for someone who's actually going to fight for us. I'm talking to voters who are saying, I'm not okay with somebody who's in the pockets of special interests. I'm not okay with voting for someone who moved here to give himself a giant tax cut. I'm ready for somebody who's one of us and who's going to fight for us. And I hear that in every single county. We have 13 counties in this district. It's so big. Every single county in the district. And I'm usually, on the weekend, you can find me in 5 counties in a single day. So, yes. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.